guard, number 0, Larry Austin Jr. At guard, number 2, Sean Roundtree Jr. At forward, number 5, Rob Montgomery. At forward, number 14, David DeLeo. And at guard, number 20, Kevin McKay. The Chippewas are coached by Keno Davis. All right, Bulls fans, let's light up Alumni Arena.
Some points to be scored today in Buffalo as the MAC's top 2 offensive teams get ready to square off. It's the 23rd ranked UB Bulls and the Central Michigan Chippewas. Hi everybody inside of UB's Alumni Arena. I'm Paul Peck with Will Regan. Both these teams will average almost 85 points a game, so I'm ready. I've got my calculator and my backup calculator. These are 2 of the top 13 highest scoring teams in the country.
No doubt there's going to be a lot of scoring here tonight. Plus, these teams are both coming off a week's worth of rest here to get into the second half of conference play, where the teams are going to start to try and transition here and place well in the end of the season.
Here's Buffalo's starting 5, brought to you by Crunch Fitness. Montel McCray, Jeremy Harris, Javon Graves, Dontay Jordan, and one of the MAC's best right there, he's C.J. Massenberg. The Central Michigan starting 5 will feature the same lineup they've started every game with this season. Larry Austin's been a revelation as a newcomer, one of the MAC's top offensive players. Sean Roundtree, Robert Montgomery, three-point shooter David DeLeo, and Kevin McKay. This one's going to be a fun one, Will. The Bulls have won 6 straight against Central Michigan. Last time they played was in Cleveland in March in the MAC quarterfinals.
Yeah, Central Michigan's going to want to get some revenge here as UB was able to knock them out of the MAC tournament last season. But Central Michigan did not get off to a hot start in that game, but they clawed back, and that is what this team does best, is they can put runs together and make it tough. Jeremy Harris was a little too much in the last matchup with 27 points, and the Bulls were able to pull away late to win by 15.
The Bulls have won 8 of their last 10 games, but they are coming off only their 3rd loss of the season a week ago Friday at Bowling Green. They've won 21 straight here at Alumni Arena. Central has won 2 in a row after 3 straight losses, so you know, that week off will be interesting to see. You know, was it good for Buffalo to spend a week thinking about a loss, or did they need a little bit of time to kind of go back to the basics?
Well, yeah, it's almost our job to try and figure that out.
Yeah,
you know, what's the storyline on it? But honestly, it can go either way. Which team's going to be more fresh? Did they, you know, work on their weaknesses, or is a team going to be sluggish here, having the time off? We're not really going to know until the teams tip it off here, but it could go either way.
Again, both these teams average just under 85 points a game. So is this going to be a track meet, or might the team that does something a little different have an advantage?
I think what you're going to find is one team is going to find a rhythm defensively to slow down, but it's going to be a high-scoring game. Just which team, we'll find out.
Here we go. Buffalo has the first possession, nearly stolen away from Dontay Jordan. The lane opens up, and he scores. And the Bulls get the first 2 points of the game. This should be a fun one on a Saturday afternoon in Buffalo, the Bulls and the Chippewas. And there's Austin, the junior colleger, the transfer from Springfield, Illinois, who has been fantastic this season. David DeLeo, normally a three-point shooter, short jumper, gets his own rebound, kicks it for Roundtree, and Sean Roundtree with the three.
And Central Michigan is no stranger to that three-point line. They like to shoot a lot of threes, and they can make it as well.
Jordan with a pretty feed to Montel McCray, and what would you expect less than a minute in? We've got 7 points already.
3 possessions and 3 baskets.
You bet. This is Kevin McKay, back to Austin. Austin's not much of a three-point shooter at all. He is an aggressive driver of the basketball. Knocked away from McKay, shot clock at 5. Roundtree sees it, gonna put a move on, pull up, and that one rolls over the top of the backboard. And there is Keno Davis in his 7th year as the Chippewas head coach with an overall record of 114 and 103. Previous stops as a head coach at Drake and Providence. Just 2-9 in his career against the Buffalo Bulls.
I think it's skewed because he's been playing the Bulls where they've been at their peak in their program history, where they've been winning the conference tournament and stuff like that. But it's a tough place to play coming here to Alumni Arena.
And I think because Central likes to run and score, and so does Buffalo, it kind of becomes a matter of who may have a little bit better player. And on that play, it was Jeremy Harris. And after some struggles for Jeremy, that's a good early sign that he scores a basket. Nate Oates is in his 4th year as the Buffalo head coach as you watch the Jeremy Harris drive. And here's Roundtree, the senior from Edwardsville, Illinois, who averages 15.5 points a game. He and Austin are the MAC's top scoring backcourt. And McKay backs in, finds an opening, but loses it out of bounds. And there's your look at Nate Oates, 83 and 42 in his career here at Buffalo, 6th already on UB's all-time coaching wins list. Nate has done some amazing things here as the Bulls have gone to the NCAA tournament 3 times in the last 4 years, looking to become the first ever MAC team to win 4 conference championships in 5 years. C.J. Massenberg's been a big reason for all that success, but he can't hit there.
Yeah, a little out of control. Credit Central Michigan for stepping up there and making it a tough finish for C.J. Massenberg in the lane.
Roundtree gets the screen. Gets it to Austin. Here's Larry Austin's first shot attempt, and that's why he is one of the best in the MAC.
Helpside's got to recognize that he has an edge right there. Montel McCray had the ability to challenge that shot, but never stepped up, and that's why he got the and one and looking to tie the game up.
Played 23 games at Vanderbilt from 2016 to 2018. Played 60 games at Xavier from 2014 to 2016. Could never really find his role on those teams, and the opportunity to come here and be a guy who leads his team in points, assists, steals, and is 2nd in rebounds. That's why this has been such a fun year for Larry Austin.
That's dangerous. You bring in an experienced veteran player who's hungry to lead a team, and then you get a guy like Larry Austin who's having a great senior season.
He's 23 years old as well, too. You talk about being a veteran who's kind of been around a little bit. Harris whips it across court for Jordan, trapped in the corner, bounce pass into the lane for McRae, knocked away. Stolen by Romello Burrell in the game for Central Michigan. This is DeLeo, he's a 3-point shooter. Instead he sees Austin, and Austin can't finish, but he gets his own rebound. It goes out of bounds and will go to Buffalo. It's a good look by DeLeo to pass up the 3 to see Austin, and normally Larry going to finish those.
Yeah, I think that's just evidence right there, though, that Austin has no fear. He will go in the lane. He's battling a 6'10" player in Montel McCray, and he was all of it, challenging to get to the rim on that.
Jeremy Harris misses the 3. He's missed his last 13 3-pointers. Harris out of control in the lane, stolen away by Harris. On the break, alley-oop, Montel McCray for the dunk. To Harris's credit, his assists and rebounds are up while his shooting has been down.
Yeah, and that's how you get out of a shooting slump. Harris has been struggling the last 2 games, 0 for 12 from behind the arc in those games, but the only way to get out of it is to keep shooting the shots you practice and find other ways to contribute until those shots start to fall. DeLeo
with the baseline, pulls up, kicks it, three-pointer on the way, and good from Dallas Morgan off the bench. Second on the team in three-pointers made, the junior from Peoria, Illinois. Harris, pump fake, drive, left-handed layup, good. That's 4 early for Jeremy Harris. Trying to catch my breath here already. Do we have any oxygen available here on press row?
Yeah, I feel like we're running up and down the court.
The pace of this game is crazy, but we expected it. DeLeo had a big height advantage on Jordan, kicks it into the corner, and Roundtree hits the 3. How about these teams? UB hitting 71%, Central 57%. McCray draws the foul on the drive. We'll get our first break. Now we can catch our breath. Jeremy Harris on the alley-oop to the senior Montel McCray. We're having fun in Buffalo already here on ESPN+. Time to take a look at our keys to the game, brought to you by Town BMW.
Yeah, guard a yard. That's the saying in basketball. The Bulls need to be able to guard Austin one-on-one. They cannot help or have to draw help because Austin can find an open shooter. And that leads me to find shooters in transition. We already seen Central's 3 for 3 from behind the arc. They have plenty of guys that can knock it down. And the role players on Buffalo, Janathan Williams, Rondo Segou, they have the ability to step up. They're behind these talented players in front of them, but now is the time to step up. And Central.
We'll get to Centrals in just a moment, Will. You know, as much as we're going to talk about offense, as much as you've already seen the crazy offense, frankly, the team that plays a little better defense might win this game, and that's what Buffalo needs to do based on some of their last games. That's not good defense by Buffalo, as Austin with an easy drive.
Yeah, and that's the point right there. You got to be able to guard the ball, prevent them from getting into the lane that easily, because if they do, defense will collapse, and shooters will be open on the perimeter, or they'll get right to the rim and get an easy two-point layup like they did.
Yeah, that's Massenburg stepped on the end line. The red-hot Dontay Caruthers has checked into the ball game for the Bulls. He's scored over 20 points in his last 2 games. Corner 3, first missed 3 of the game. That one from Rob Montgomery, and back come the Bulls. Massenburg guarded by Austin. How's that for a matchup with 2 of the best players in the conference? Stolen away. Austin with the steal, leading the break. Larry Austin gonna go all the way. Has it knocked away?
You can see right there.
Looking for a foul.
Yeah, looking for a foul, but you can see not ready on the offensive end, and then Austin going downhill here. You got to be able to stop the basketball because he's going to be looking to get to the rim. And once he drives in there, like I said, transition threes will be open.
In fact, Jeremy Harris got away with one, not getting called for the foul there. A quick double team on Roundtree. This is Burrell. Romello Burrell bounces it down low from Montgomery. He'll spot up and hit. Rob Montgomery, junior college transfer, 6'6" junior from Montgomery Village, Maryland. He's been hot in MAC play. Massenberg for three, in and out. And there was contact, and that's going to be Roundtree called for an offensive foul.
That's just good defensive position there by Caruthers to stay in front and have his body in front, and Roundtree victim of pushing off with his forearm, or at least getting his forearm up to make it look like he was.
That's the 19th drawn charge of the season for Dontay Caruthers. And this is something that the Bulls emphasize and keep track of. And Dontay now tying Devontae on the top of that chart, and there's Caruthers with a basket on the other end. And quickly, it's Austin back the other way. Don't blink, you might miss 4 baskets. And again, Will, to the point that Nate Oates has emphasized, he hasn't liked the way his team's been playing defense, particularly in their last game, they lost to Bowling Green. They score 88 points and give up 92. So a lot of emphasis for Buffalo on the way they're playing defense, but I don't know that we're going to know whether they're playing good defense or not in a game like this.
Yeah, at times it's almost misleading because the Bulls are such good on-ball defenders that you think they're a good defensive team, but they struggle in a half-court defensive set sometimes as a team defense.
Jeremy Harris beats the shot clock but can't get it to go. Nice pass to Montgomery from Austin.
Yeah, and Central Michigan's having their way in transition, getting to the rim, finding open players, dishing it. Bulls are going to have to do a better job with their transition defense if they're going to want to stay in this.
Central is pulled out to a 7-point lead. They've hit their last 3 baskets. Massenberg has yet to score in this game. That one rims out. Rebounded by Kevin McKay, the Chippewas' leading rebounder. And this is going to qualify as slow pace in this game. DeLeo, long 3, no good. Harris tips it to Segu, the freshman Rondo Segu. Quickly into the front court, a bit out of control, and we get a whistle. And that's going to be a foul on Central Michigan. We'll take a timeout. The foul goes on Kevin McKay. We get a media timeout. That came quickly. Central up 7, 11:36 to go. It's the Bulls and the Chippewas from here in Western New York. Well, the Chippewas are probably doing a few of these already, but their keys to the game brought to you by Town BMW.
Yeah, Central Michigan off to a good start when you're looking at these keys. Bench scoring, in particular, Dallas Morgan, already 3 points. He's the type of guy that can really lift the game for this Central Michigan team that doesn't play many people off the bench. And they got scrap on the glass, a little undersized. They're already out rebounding 7-4 and being opportunistic. There's going to be a lot of transition plays, offensively, defensively. They like to speed up the Bulls on offense where they get a little uncomfortable. If they can get those steals and get out in transition, knock down some threes, that's their opportunistic opportunities right there.
And the backcourt of Roundtree and Austin already combining for 12 points. They come in as the MAC's top scoring backcourt. Dontay Jordan with the spin move. It will not fall. And then as he tries to steal it back, he commits the foul. And he's not happy about it. That's the second on Dontay Jordan. And he's going to have to check out of the game.
That's a tough call right there. Jordan clearly the aggressor there going for the rebound, and Central Michigan was just not ready and could have been a foul, could not, but it was definitely a lot of ball on that opportunity right there.
Roundtree hands off to McKay. McKay's going to take it down the lane. Hang, can't get it to fall. Rebounded by McCray. Montel McCray will spot up. A little long on the three. Rebound by Rob Montgomery.
And that's going to hurt the Bulls right there. Although he's open, and I'm not going to say don't shoot that, but no one's inside to rebound. Central Michigan gets a whole nother possession without having to work out on the defensive end.
7 points. Central Michigan lead early. McKay guarded by Graves. Shot clock is at 5. DeLeo gonna have to shoot. He will and hit.
Right there. Being opportunistic. They play defense for 3 seconds, get the rebound, play offense for 30 seconds, and hit a shot at the end of the shot clock. That's a recipe for success for Central Michigan.
It's a 13-2 Chippewas run to build a 9-point lead. Segou loses it. Turnover by Buffalo. Not a little sloppy, a lot sloppy by the Bulls right now. Roundtree sees an opening and scores. And it's a double-digit lead for the Chippewas. Javon Graves drives in, can't hit. Montgomery for 3, way off.
Yeah, right now it's almost a head-scratcher. Central Michigan's kind of doing everything they want, and the Bulls are struggling on the offensive end.
Caruthers off on the 3 from the corner. Harris goes down, no call. McKay hangs, can't hit, and the offensive rebound still loose. Finally, who's got this? Central has it. Good hustle by the Chippewas.
Well, this looks almost like the Bulls got that week off. They came off the loss, and they just aren't ready. I mean, they're tipping at the ball. No one's grabbing it. Central's the quicker person to the loose balls, and the Bulls just they're not fresh right now.
Good job by DeLeo to keep that ball alive. There's Dallas Morgan into the game. He'll spot up, rims out a 3, but another offensive rebound by McKay, who feeds to the bucket for Morgan for an easy 2, and Nate Oates has to call a timeout. His team is down 13. It's a 17-2 Central Michigan run.
Yeah, just Central Michigan right now, you have to give them credit. They are disrupting the Bulls on offense, and then they're taking their time getting good shots when they're on the offensive end, and the Bulls just aren't getting out in transition. They're struggling in the half court, and Central Michigan's got the score to show for it.
Bulls are 23rd ranked in the country, down from 18 after their loss a week ago. It's their 13th straight week ranked. That's a MAC record. Central Michigan's last game against a ranked team came in 2012 when they played number 2 Michigan. Last time the Chippewas beat a ranked team was 2003 when they knocked off the 23rd ranked Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And right now, it looks like Central Michigan is the team that's playing like one of the top 25 teams in the country. Bulls are struggling to find a rhythm. There's a steal by Larry Austin, stolen away from Harris. Austin gets fouled as he tried to go up and drive, and a little slap of the hands with Jeremy Harris. But again, another sloppy play by the Bulls, who commit their 7th turnover already.
And how long were the Bulls on offense that possession? 5 seconds?
7 seconds,
7
maybe?
seconds. So, you know, Central Michigan is just, that is what they do. Larry Austin is a very good defender, and he can get out in transition when he gets those steals. But the Bulls got to take care of the basketball. They don't take care of the basketball, Central's going to have plenty of opportunities to run the score up on them.
Number 5 in the MAC in points, number 1 in assists, number 6 in field goal percentage, and number 2 in steals is Larry Austin. He hits 1 of 2 for 7 points. No Nick Perkins in the game at all for Buffalo at this point, which is a bit unusual. And that's Jeremy Harris being aggressive and taking it to the rim. So that ends the 18-2 run by Central Michigan, but right back comes Dallas Morgan with another 3.
That's a good sign for Central, because they typically only get production out of 5 guys, so they already got 6 points, or 8 points out of Dallas Morgan, which is, like I said, a key to the game, because he's capable of scoring like that.
And no points from C.J. Massenberg, and he turns it over on a bad pass. Austin, Roundtree, 3, good! Foul called underneath. Basket, I think, is going to count.
And Massenberg is in pain. He bumped his shoulder. You can see him wincing.
See the tape on there anyway.
Yeah, I was questioning.
So C.J. Massenberg struggling not only with his game, but with his health at the moment. And the Bulls are struggling as well. It's a 32-14 Central Michigan lead. Timeout on the court in Buffalo. Back with more on ESPN+. A 17-2 run has triggered Central Michigan to this 18-point lead, and look at how easily they've done it. Will.
Yeah, it's a testament not only on the offensive end. I mean, Central Michigan is knocking down shots, they're getting to the rim, they're doing what they want, but they're getting stops at the defensive end. The Bulls are just stymied offensively, and then they're getting steals to get out in transition. Central Michigan is outplaying the Bulls hands down right now.
They're shooting 59% are the Chippewas, and that's 56% from beyond the arc. And you don't need to be a basketball expert to know you're not going to lose very often or flip it around. You're not going to win very much when your opponent is shooting almost 60%. Jeremy Harris finally gets a 3 to fall in.
And you almost hear a sigh of relief from the fans, because they know Jeremy's been struggling behind the arc, and the team has been struggling here today.
Just his second 3 in the last 3 games for Jeremy Harris. Austin kicks it for DeLeo. And there's Harris grabbing the rebound. No Massenberg in the game at this point for the Bulls. You saw him go down hard before. Dontay Jordan on the drive. Don't count the basket, but get the foul.
That's a good strong drive by Jordan. The Bulls need more of that. They need the players getting downhill. Getting downhill towards the rim and drawing fouls, so they at least have a chance to get to the free throw line if they're struggling to score, find a little confidence at the free throw line.
Jordan kind of holds that ball out with the right hand, creates the space and puts it up and in. Kind of uses his body to create some contact and shield for some room.
That's good. Good use of the body, and there he gets a steal. So, you know, Jordan's trying to will the team back in it.
Harris for three on the break, can't get it to go. Graves rebound, follow. And that gets the crowd back into this one as Buffalo is on a little run of its own.
It's a good timeout there by Keno Davis. The Bulls obviously found a little rhythm out of Nate Oates' timeout, getting in transition, knocking down some threes, and getting offensive rebounds to climb back into the game. It's still an 11-point game, but Keno's timeout allows the fans to kind of settle down and his team to regroup.
Including Sierra Dillard from the UB women's team along with some of her teammates there, as the women already have notched a victory this afternoon. They beat Kent State 75-66 in the first game of our doubleheader here, as Sierra chipped in with 31 points and 11 assists. 7-0 run for the Bulls right now. The largest lead of this game was the 18-point 32-14 advantage for Central. And Buffalo chipping back in this one. Bulls have been putting themselves in big holes lately in the first half and fighting so hard to get back in games. It takes a lot of energy. And there's a turnover as Morgan tried to kind of throw a no-look pass. And a chance for the Bulls to cut this one inside of 10 points.
Yeah, and that's just Central not being on the same page. One guy coming up to try and set a ball screen, but, you know, Bulls basketball.
Harris has been aggressive, and that's why. 11 points for the senior from Greensboro, North Carolina, Jeremy Harris. The lead is under 10. It's a 9-0 Buffalo run.
And Buffalo needs that. Right now, like we saw, C.J. Massenberg has a hurt shoulder. How he got it, we don't know. And Nick Perkins is not playing, so the combination of the two best players, they need people to step up.
Big offensive rebound and put back for David DeLeo after the Bulls force another missed three. That ends the 9-0 run. Oh, nifty pass from Jordan to Caruthers. He can't finish, but he'll draw the foul. And the hottest Bulls player, Dontay Caruthers, will go to the line.
I'll tell you what, Devontae Jordan, Dontay Caruthers, and Jeremy Harris, coming out of Nate Oates' timeout, have played with a different level of intensity here to get the Bulls really going and getting to the rim, getting shots at the basket. They're still down, but there's at least hope in this building that there's a little bit of opportunity for the team to start scoring.
You see Coach Oates huddled, and now you get a look at Caruthers coming off a career-high 28 points against Bowling Green. I mentioned 28 in his last game, 21 in the game before that. He's averaging over 11 points a game in MAC play, 2 points more than his season average. Nathan Williams checks in for Nate Oates. Dontay Caruthers hits one of two free throws. The lead is at 10 points for the Chippewas. Roundtree slipped but was able to get the pass away before he went down. DeLeo from the lane, and David DeLeo's hit a couple of big baskets, the junior from Iowa City, Iowa. Harris, the game's leading scorer, adds 2 more. He's got 13.
Bulls starting to score here, but in order to get back in this, they're going to have to pick it up in the defensive end because Central Michigan still having their way getting to the basket and getting easy shots.
Stolen away by Dontay Caruthers. All alone for the right-handed jam.
there's one player right now that doesn't want to lose, it's number 22 in the gray.
He is the emotional and inspirational force for this Bulls team, Dontay Caruthers. And he does a good job on Austin and forces another run out and a 360 layup for Harris.
Something tells me that's not exactly how he envisioned it.
He fooled me on that one. I think you're right. I don't think that's what he planned on doing. And listen to the crowd on its feet cheering on their Bulls who have cut the lead to 6, and another turnover for Central Michigan.
Tell you what, the crowd is into it right now, and you look at the scoreboard, you'd think the Bulls were ahead right now.
This place is full to the rafters again. Bulls are second in the MAC in attendance at just under 4,700 per game. There's probably close to 6,000 in here this afternoon. Harris pulls up 3, rims out. Knocked away, and Harris will get called for the foul. A little too aggressive, trying to go after Roundtree. The Bulls have gotten back in this one. The last time we took a break, they were down 18. Now they're down 6. Timeout on the court at UB's Alumni Arena. Back with more on ESPN+. Well, here's how we got to where we are now. Central started off hot, and then the Bulls have come back. They're in the middle of a 16-4 run right now, triggered by the defense. Yeah, triggered by that guy right there, number 22, Dontay Caruthers, able to get out in transition, tipping it out. You got Jeremy Harris finishing in transition. It's kind of been the tale of two halves in this first half. Nate Oates calls a timeout about at the 8-minute mark, and Dontay Caruthers, Devontae Jordan, and Jeremy Harris really elevated their game, picking up the tempo and getting some stops at the defensive end. Not unexpected, as you can see. These are two of the top 13 highest scoring teams in the country. They're the top 2 teams in the MAC in offensive pace, transition. Everything about both of these teams says high octane, and everything about this game so far has done nothing to disappoint. Yeah, I'd say we're headed to another game in the 80s, looking at where we are now and those numbers and how high-powered these offenses have been. That's not quite the boldest prediction you've ever made, Will Regan. And a good follow-up. Austin created it, and Burrell finishes it. And again, as always, there's never a question about whether Buffalo can score. It's how well they're going to play defense, and it's not been as good as it needs to be for Nate Oates right now. Harris hangs, kicks it, Graves for 3, got it! There you go. Those offenses coming out, they're going to prove me right. But they would have proved everybody right. I was going to say, you are a sage prophet there, Mr. Regan. It's a 5-point game. This one's gotten really fun. More fun than it was even early on. That was almost knocked away. as Burrell backs in on McCray. Roundtree loses it, stolen away. Harris ahead of the field. Look out for Graves for the big two-hander.
That's where the Bulls perform best, getting those steals in the half-court set, which they were not doing in the first 12 minutes of this half, and they've started here later on.
It's a 3-point game. It was an 18-point game all that long ago. Step back three for Morgan, no good. Another rebound for Harris. Jeremy for Montel, who drains the three, and we are tied.
And there you have it, and that's a tale. When you have high-powered offenses, the game can switch so quickly. We saw Central getting out to that lead, and UB responding.
And that one's going to go on Javon Graves. The Bulls have come back from 32-14 down to score 24 in the last 28 points.
And how many of their points have come just in transition? Not many half-court shots. There's that dunk there, and then you get Montel McCray knocking down a trail three, and that's where the Bulls perform their best. And Central Michigan's going to have to do a better job taking care of the basketball.
So what's changed, Will? What other than better effort from Buffalo, what's changed from a 14-point margin to a tie game?
UB's sped up Central Michigan. Central Michigan was taking their time. Remember I mentioned they stopped UB on a quick shot, and then they used all 30 seconds on the shot clock to score. They were doing a good job slowing down UB. Now UB's sped up Central Michigan. They're turning it over, and UB's getting in transition.
And that's a nice basket on the little baby hook from Rob Montgomery. Graves pulls up, can't hit the three. DeLeo with the rebound. Quick kick out for Austin. Austin up court, loses the handle, but it's regained by Roundtree, and he tried to feed it back to Austin, and it's going to be Buffalo basketball. Austin trying to plead his case, trying to say that it was Massenburg that touched it last. That won't get anywhere. It's Buffalo ball. Massenburg, no points. Bulls are doing this without any contribution from their leading scorer, but their defense forcing those 10 turnovers has a lot to do with it. Caruthers splits the D, loses the handle, kicks it out for Graves. Williams, Massenburg, three, in and out. Offensive board for the freshman Janathan Williams. He throws it up and it won't go, and he wanted the foul call, and it's out of bounds to Central Michigan.
Yeah, you can see Williams a little frustrated. Great job getting on the offensive glass, getting that extra shot. Just not able to convert and wants the foul call, and that's where you got to earn your stripes here in the MAC. You're a young blood. You got to get in there and show that you deserve those foul calls.
Will, what's it like to play in a frantic, up-tempo, high-action game like this?
Oh, that's what you practice for all season, all summer long, to be out here and make plays that matter in close conference games, and you can tell both teams know how much this game means.
Roundtree, he's got 13 points to lead the Chippewas. Aggressive drive for Graves, kind of threw it behind his back. Trayvon Fagan gets the rebound for Buffalo. He's just in the ball game. And now Caruthers pats the top of his head and hands off to Massenburg. If that shoulder's really bothering CJ, how much is that affecting his ability to shoot?
It's going to affect it a lot, especially if it's like the AC joint. When you bump that, it hurts anytime your arm gets above your shoulder.
And now a little bit heated here. Austin was called for the foul. And I don't think Massenburg cared much for that. Clearly he didn't care much for that. And now they're going to take a look at it. That's Greg Lansdorf, joined by Dave Cronin. Keith Lewis is our third official. What's the potential for a call here on a play like that?
So it seems like they already called a technical on Massenburg. I'm not positive, but there's very unlikely that they're going to call a foul or technical on Austin. It takes a lot of self-confidence to walk over to walk over potentially the best player in the Mid-American Conference in his house, it's disrespectful. I've had teammates do things like that, and I've seen them. There's really no room for that. You do what you want to do. You're a good player, but don't do that.
Yeah, it was pretty blatant. Blatant at least, and he could have stepped a lot of different ways other than stepping over the top. And like you said, CJ's likely going to get called for the technical here for his response, and I think he's kind of saying, wait a minute, what do you want me to do there? And like you said, there's a little bit of, hey, this is our place. You don't do that to me or anybody else in our arena. And frankly, you would expect the same from Austin if we're playing in Mount Pleasant.
No doubt. And hey, I'm not trying to disrespect Austin. I think he's a really good player. And I've seen people do that, and there's a tactic to that. You get under the team's skin, you can get in their head. And I'm not saying I haven't seen it done before. I'm just saying if this is my house, my teammate, I'm not necessarily fond of that gesture.
All right, so the coaches are getting the explanation. Will is getting it as well from our official Keith Lewis to figure out what exactly was called here. And all right, Will, so what did Keith tell you?
So it's going to be a technical foul on Massenburg, as we mentioned, and they looked at the monitor to see why, if anything was driven to cause that technical, meaning Austin walking over was not, and it was deemed that was not worthy of a technical. So
yeah, and I guess in this case, you can't ask the officials to call intent. Or, he didn't step on any part of C.J. Massenburg, so I'm not surprised that they wouldn't be calling anything. So Sean Roundtree, a 79% free throw shooter, going to shoot the technicals and miss the first one.
And here, you got to look at this. There's 4 seconds left in the half. Austin got C.J. Massenburg a foul, one of the best players, a technical foul, so now their team is shooting free throws, and they get the ball here. So you could say what you want, but that worked out very well in their favor, and sometimes you got to be be willing to be on edge, and Austin did that and got their team an extra possession.
Yeah, and I think you could clearly see that Nate Oates didn't care much for it, didn't care much for the lack of any call against Central Michigan, and certainly doesn't like all those things that you laid out. So it's a 5-point Central Michigan lead, and they'll get one more shot here with 4.6 seconds to go in a crazy up and down, back and forth first half that saw big runs by both teams, and Nate is still working the officials over at the scorer's table. And he's getting the hand from Greg Lansdorf. And now Keno Davis is going to bring his team over to the bench. So what's Nate talking about here now? Where the inbound is, maybe, or?
I'm not sure. I will wait and see what the officials come here and say. But what I'll tell you is that it seems if I were to guess here, he's trying to figure out why Central Michigan So we'll see what comes out of it. But there's 4 seconds left. Central's up 5 with the ball. Big turn of events right there, and I would be surprised if UB comes out flat in the second half after Central Michigan trying to kind of stomp on their logo in a sense, metaphorically, if you put it that way.
That's a great way to put it, Will. You're right. That's a lot of what Austin did. Remember, Central Michigan had an 18-point lead midway through this half. Buffalo has clawed back in to be down by only 5 now. We'll see if the 5-point margin remains that way. 4.6 to go. Off the inbounds, Austin going to take it himself, and he is going to get called for an offensive foul. That's a little bit of a revenge there for Buffalo.
Yeah, and that's a big play right there. They're probably going to sub Austin out, who got a second foul, just to avoid a third one here. But now he's got 2 fouls at half, so it's a big play by Caruthers.
And another drawn offensive foul by Dontay Caruthers, his second of the game and 20th of the season to give him the Buffalo team lead. Harris will fling it up from beyond half court. It will not find the rim. And what a first half it was. Buffalo got to be happy going into the locker room only down 5. It was exactly what we expected, on pace for 80-plus points. Halftime here at UB's Alumni Arena, coming up on ESPN+.
Jeremy Harris.
Dontay Caruthers, and he does a good job on Austin.
What if I told you there was a school in Western New York with 125 years of collegiate athletics history that has won a national championship as both a team and as an individual, that stood up to racial injustice?
We aren't going anywhere without our brothers.
What if I told you this school produced one of the most feared players in the NFL?
Khalil Mack is going to return it for a touchdown!
That beat the buzzer twice on the same day in Cleveland?
He shoots a three. He hits. Oh, yes!
That has won 12 MAC team titles and over 100 individual titles. That's putting Power 5 programs on notice.
Sweet 16, here we come!
What if I told you it is only the beginning? 16 teams, one university, same goal.
Buffalo sports fans, get to Alumni Arena on Tuesday, February 19th when the UB men's basketball team hosts Ohio, presented by UBMD Physicians Group.
Williams is there to follow and jam it home with two hands.
With long-range threes, high-flying dunks, and intense defense, why not get to Alumni Arena and cheer on your Bulls as they chase down more MAC titles?
Oh my, he hit another one.
Tip-off is at 7 p.m. For tickets and more information, call 1-877-UB-THERE or visit UBBulls.com.
In celebration of Black History Month, the University of Buffalo is honoring major contributors to UB Athletics. Coach Ed Wright. Wright's career as a head coach, teacher, and administrator spanned more than 40 years. Beginning in 1970, when the University of Buffalo made NCAA history by hiring him as the first African-American hockey coach in the country. As such, his path would not be easy, but it was nothing his early life hadn't prepared him for. Wright's impact at UB extended well beyond the ice, touching countless students' lives through his role as Director of Intramural Programs. Ed retired in 2012 as Head of Academic Instruction for the Division of Athletics. During his 4 decades with the Bulls, Ed not only coached student athletes, he also changed lives and the way people think.
Buffalo with the Chippewas holding a 43-38 lead. Remember, Central Michigan was up 32-14, built that 18-point lead. Then Buffalo comes back with a 16-4 run, and a big reason why has been Jeremy Harris, not necessarily doing it, Will, the way he always does it, just doing it however he needs to do it.
Yeah, he's been struggling from behind the arc, and he hasn't broken out of that yet. Has made 1-3, but it's the other ways he's been affecting the game. The defensive end, getting his teammates out in transition and getting to the rim on his own. He's really been lifting the play for the lack of C.J. Massenberg and Nick Perkins.
Yeah, Massenberg and Perkins have combined for no points. Nick Perkins did not play in the first half, so the Bulls have needed Jeremy Harris to do that, and he has answered with those 15 first half points. There's the 3 that he got a little bit of a lucky roll on. Let's take a look at the stats. They tell quite a picture. Look at the field goal percentages particularly, and as you pointed out, Will, the rebounding tells us an interesting story.
It does. I mean, you look at Central Michigan, you don't think they're going to be the best rebounding team, but when they out-rebound their opponent, they're 12-0. They don't have a true big man, but they're out-rebounding the Bulls tonight.
Yeah, and we'll see if that continues. And again, we'll see if the Bulls get no contribution from one of the MAC's leading scorers in C.J. Massenberg. We'll see what happens with Nick Perkins. And Can Larry Austin, who hasn't really been as big a threat as we thought, get loose in the second half? We'll find out. Stick around. Third quarter, or second half rather, coming up on ESPN+. All right, we can only hope the second half will be as much fun as the first half was, particularly if you're a Chippewas fan. Will, let's revisit the keys to the game brought to you by Town BMW.
Yeah, well, we hit it early, and they were executing, and they continued to execute in the first half. Their bench scoring, Dallas Morgan scored early, got 8 points early in the game, but they're out-rebounding on the glass, a team that's undersized against a Bulls team that has just been not there on the rebounding, in part to not having Nick Perkins, and then being opportunistic. They stepped away from this a little bit, and what I mean by there is they got out to that fast start, but then they were turning it over, and they weren't juicing the clock like they should have. So they executed pretty well against those keys.
And flip it around, let's check on the Buffalo keys to the game brought to you by Town BMW.
Well, you nixed the first 12 minutes, and I think they've been doing pretty well on this. You're able to force some turnovers, and you're able to find those shooters in transition to drive them up. So they've been doing a solid job on this, and you see Nick Perkins now coming into the game here. So you want to add a key in the second half is feed the big fella down low. And start cleaning up the glass.
Now, he did not play in the first half. We assume that was a coach's decision for Nate Oates to not play Nick Perkins, because that's certainly very unusual, but here he is, he's back. So again, 0 points from Perkins and Massenburg, and the Bulls are still within 5 points. We'll see what happens. Start of the second half. Austin and Roundtree have been active and aggressive offensively for the Chippewas. Montgomery guarded by Perkins into the lane. Perkins won't let him have a clear path, and it was deflected by Nick, and we get a foul, and that's going to go against Central, and a clap of the hands from Nick Perkins, who gets right into the action.
And that's good to see, because Montgomery was clearly told, get Perkins on the perimeter and then use your speed and quickness to try and get around him.
Third foul on Larry Austin. That could be key as well, too.
And that's why that charge with 2 seconds left in the first half was a big foul, because now he's already got 3.
Step back jumper, Nick Perkins off the bench and on the score sheet. So yeah, Larry Austin, 2 fouls literally were like in the last 10 seconds of either bookended on either half, so that's big.
Yeah, real time it's been about 20 minutes, but you don't realize
and there's another one.
How big those fouls are.
And let's see, I believe this one will go on Austin as well. Yeah, and CJ got a little revenge, I think, there, didn't he? That's the 4th on Austin. CJ will check out, but that's big.
Yeah, and I mean, we've said it, but that charge, the combination of those two, and it's funny because you kind of wanted to see how the Bulls were going to try and react to the little fiasco there at the end of the first half.
And I think we're going to take a review on this one as well, too. And to me, it looked like there was maybe a little embellishment on C.J. Massenburg's part, but that doesn't matter. That's okay. And maybe that was fueled by what happened at the end of the first half.
Yeah, it looked to me as though, we'll see again, that there was no intent here, but he did I think get him in the face. Because I don't know, otherwise that's great acting. But
yeah, no, you're right. I will correct myself. I did not see the swat to the nose area there.
Right.
So.
And for Austin, I mean, that's tough, right? You know, he was very into the game. He was playing very well, you know, getting those steals in transition and the heart of this team. To then get those 3 fouls in a matter of less than 50 a minute, really, in game time. Goes from 1 foul to 4 fouls. He's going to be on the bench here for the next 10 minutes.
Yep, Mac's 5th leading scorer, and as I mentioned, leads Central Michigan in points, assists, and steals. Take him out of the lineup. That's a big loss for him, and you can see the look on Larry's face. 6 times this year he scored over 20 points. Watch it. Now there's the little bit above the wrist shot under the nose of Massenburg.
Yeah.
Now is that enough to call flagrant one?
No, I don't think so. We'll see. I don't want to call it for the refs. I don't think it is. I think the foul is the foul. He had no intent there. The whole thing there is he was trying to get around Massenburg, but you could tell he was almost trying to hook Massenburg, but he didn't have the corner turned yet with his arm, and even that hook is a foul. So even though it was a light foul, it looked like, it is a foul, and I think it's the right call. We'll see what they come out with here.
All right, so they're giving Nate Oates and Keno Davis the explanation, and now we get it as well.
Yep, just a foul.
Okay,
basketball play,
foul.
like we were saying. I think that's the right call, and I think it is a foul. If you're a CMU fan and you're looking at that saying it's a little ticky-tack, well, you're also not allowed. You got to be in control of your limbs, and you can't hit a player in the face. So ticky-tack or not, I think it's the right call.
All right, so the lead is down to 3, and Central Michigan's top scorers on the bench. Nick Perkins gets the pass down low, gets it swatted out, but it will stay with Buffalo.
And now that Austin's on the bench, who's in the game now? Who needs to step up? Dallas Morgan. They got a guy who was capable of scoring, hasn't had the minutes that he could have gotten early in the season, but his opportunity.
And Nick, again, being aggressive, making up for lost time, drives to the basket and draws the foul, the 3rd of the game on Kevin McKay. Nick Perkins averages 13.8 points per game and 7.6 rebounds per game. Top 10 in the MAC in rebounds, and just a critical player for Buffalo when he comes off the bench. 2-time MAC 6th man of the year, and I think it's a lock he'll be the MAC 6th man of the year again this year. And again, for those that don't watch the UB broadcast regularly, it's a strategic reason why Nick doesn't start. He's more comfortable. Nate Oates doesn't want to get an early foul on his big man. It's not for any reason other than it's just the strategy that they like to play with Nick Perkins.
Yeah, and he's the kind of they're a big man. They have other players that can play in the post, but Nick Perkins is the big man. And if he gets in foul trouble early and he's a little, can get riled up, so it's a good way to kind of stretch his minutes by not letting him play the first couple of the game.
Crowd didn't like that. They thought Jeremy Harris got all ball. He gets called for his 3rd foul of the game.
Yeah, it's a tough call, but it's no different than the foul McKay got called for at the other end. They were both good defensive plays, maybe a little body, but both players end up getting to the free throw line.
And that's Kevin McKay's first points of the game. And a couple of good games against UB last year, 12 points, 8 rebounds, 16 points as well in the MAC tournament game. And Kevin McKay, the junior from Warren, Michigan, hits both free throws. It's a three-point game. And Harris misses the three-pointer. Offensive rebound, and it's stolen away from Dontay Jordan. Here's McKay off a great feed. He gets fouled from behind by Caruthers.
Yeah, it's good defensive effort by Dallas Morgan there to get the steal and then get the ball out in transition. And you know, Central Michigan's doing their own right now, still without having Austin on the floor.
Dontay Caruthers gets his first foul, and McKay goes back to the line. And 73% free throw shooter, made those two, now misses that one. One of two. So he scored the Chippewas' last 3 points. No C.J. Massenberg on the court for the Bulls. Harris hangs, off glass, no good. Rebounded by Dallas Morgan. Roundtree in the corner, Montgomery, guarded by Perkins. Hands off for Morgan. Wide open left side, DeLeo. You cannot leave him wide open. He'll hit the open three, and he does. Number 8 in the MAC in three-point percentage, David DeLeo's got a couple of them today. Perkins gets fouled as he shoots the 12-foot jumper, and it looks like McKay is going to draw his fourth. Yes. So now 2 starters are going to have to find a seat on the bench for Keno Davis's team.
It's a good cross-court pass there by Central to find the shooter in the corner and knock that down. And you know, McKay getting his 4th foul. That's his second one this half. Both fouls to me favored UB. Those were not physical fouls if they were at all. And now you have 2 of your starters, a team that's not very deep, on the bench with 4 fouls, and still 17 and a half minutes to play in the second half.
2 free throws are good, and Nick Perkins off the bench. Didn't play the first half. 7 second half points already. So you've got Dallas Morgan in there for Austin, and you've got Matt Beechler in for McKay. Beechler, number 22, hanging out in the left wing. Roundtree going to have to be aggressive. He is, and too aggressive.
That's a good call right there by the officials. Nick Perkins has position in this rebound. Roundtree misses it, and then Montgomery pushes Nick Perkins in the lower back, and it doesn't look like much, but when you're in the air, you cannot control your body, and you're not allowed to push like that. So it's a good call by the officials away from basketball.
Second foul of the game on Montgomery. Massenberg's back in. Loops it for Perkins. Nick gets double teamed, has it knocked away and stolen. Doesn't take a basketball genius for Central to figure out that everything seems to be going to Nick right now. That one's stolen away, tipped by Jordan. Here comes Dontay Caruthers.
That play started with Dontay Jordan diving on the floor, making that a loose ball, and then the rest is history. Caruthers came through and cleaned that up. That's just hustle.
It's a 3-point game. Roundtree guarded by Graves. Beechler. Shot clock at 2. Long 3 by Morgan, no good. And an offensive board by DeLeo. He has it knocked away, regained by Beechler. Back to Montgomery. 3 is an air ball. That would have been a big possession for Central, and they've been able to score. Instead, Buffalo tries to come back. Massenberg can't hit the 3, but regains and over and back. Crowd doesn't like it. Fans don't like it. We're going to take a timeout. It's a 3-point game here at Buffalo's Alumni Arena. Well, aggressive defense will always help a team and lead them back from a deficit. Here's a great example of it for the Bulls.
Yeah, Jordan just crowding Roundtree, and what would have been a tie-up if Jordan didn't dive on the loose ball becomes a turnover on Central Michigan and a transition basket for the Bulls. I mean, little plays like that can make a difference in a game. That's why UB credits their players with the Hard Hat Award, because they value plays like that. No different than other teams do, but UB kind of puts a little name to it.
Sure, the Blue Collar Award. Caruthers 2 years ago, MAC Defensive Player of the Year. Jordan last year on the All-MAC defensive team. So those guys revel in making those kinds of plays. And that one's stolen away by Massenberg. Flips it to Jordan. Jordan alley-oop for grades too high, but Caruthers is there to finish it.
So I believe the refs just called a warning on Caruthers, because after he scored the basket, he then touched the ball out of the rim. And that's just a warning. You're not allowed to touch the ball coming out of the basket, especially if the team that you're playing puts an emphasis on it, because they want to get it out of the basket and get out in transition quicker.
Yep. Let's see if that's what happens. Yep, that's exactly what happened.
So you don't notice that? It slows down the other team's transition attack, though, if you do touch it.
Another steal by the Bulls. Here comes Jordan. Dontay Jordan scores! And Buffalo has taken their first lead since it was 10-8 in the first half. And a standing ovation from a capacity crowd here at Alumni Arena, cheering on Buffalo coming back from behind. The Bulls have in the midst of an 8-0 run that has given them the lead, and beyond that, Will, let's go back to the first half. Just 7:53 into the first half, Central Michigan was up 32-14. At a timeout was for the media timeout. Since then, the Bulls have outscored Central Michigan 36-17.
And that's impressive. And you think about it, that slow start makes a little bit of sense now. You look back in hindsight. Massenberg wasn't at full strength, and you didn't have Perkins. Now you have Perkins in the game, so Central's got to weather the storm here and regroup to try and keep up with the Bulls here.
And Larry Austin is in with his 4 fouls to help that happen. I guess this is a critical time in this game. You can't keep your best player on the bench no matter what.
Yeah, well, you can keep your best player on the bench, but if the Bulls keep that run going, it's not going to do you any good. You might as well nip the run in the butt now, so to speak, so that you don't fall behind any further.
Contact, no call. Roundtree for 3, way off. Perkins with a rebound, shot clock violation, as that ball did not hit the rim. So the Bulls with a chance to add to their 8-0 run. It's been over 3 minutes since Central Michigan has scored.
Yeah, the big key here is that the Bulls put that 8-0 run. They are now looking, to hold this lead. Central already has 5 fouls here in the half. So if the Bulls stay aggressive, they will hit the 1-1 early, and it'll pay dividends here. Now they're already going to be in the bonus after this foul, so they don't bound it. And the Bulls now have the opportunity to get some extra baskets at the free throw line here on out.
And they've just been feeding the ball to Nick Perkins, and this time he'll draw the 3rd foul of the game on Roundtree. Perkins with 7 points in the half after not playing in the first half.
And now McKay's coming in the game, so you got 2 players for Central Michigan with not the deepest bench, playing with 4 fouls, 14 minutes to go.
Jordan. And that's going to be a violation on the Bulls over palm the ball there. Devontae was a little out of control, not quite sure what he was trying to do there.
Yeah, and sometimes the officials don't catch that, so it's a good call by the official to nab the Bulls with the carrying call.
McKay guarded by Massenberg. Here's Austin. Let's see if he's going to try to be aggressive while he's in the game, and that's a travel. Larry Austin has 7 points, all of them in the first half, playing with 4 fouls. Leading scorer for the Chippewas and 5th in the MAC in scoring. Jordan, Caruthers, Perkins, Harris, Massenberg in for Buffalo. Off the screen, 3, Jeremy Harris continues to struggle from beyond the arc. This is McKay, trapped in the lane, kicks it for Roundtree. Austin has to get it back out from underneath. DeLeo for 3, way off. Rebounded by Harris.
Bulls half-court defense has been much improved here in the second half, almost forcing a second shot clock violation in the last couple possessions.
Harris had it stolen away by McKay. This is Montgomery guarded by Perkins. Montgomery spins, fall away, baseline jumper, no good. Harris with another rebound. Jeremy leads the break. Dishes it for Massenberg for 3, got it! First points of the game for C.J. Massenberg.
And you can tell, again, the crowd just getting a little extra into it, seeing Massenberg make that shot. They're all aware of his shoulder, and to see it go in, gives them an extra boost of confidence.
It's an 11-0 Buffalo run. Roundtree had a nice drive, couldn't get it to fall. Harris for 3, got it! What a big 3 for a guy who's been struggling. The Bulls and Jeremy Harris needed that one. The lead is up to 7.
And I can see Keno Davis looking at the clock saying, do I want to call a timeout?
Swatted away by Perkins for Harris for 3. Can't get that to go.
Or just hanging on. Keno's just hanging on to get to that media timeout.
Austin loses it. Perkins, Massenberg jams it home. It's a 13-0 run, and now Keno Davis, well, he didn't have to call that timeout, but he needed it. Harris with the miss, and the Bulls come back off the steal. We take a timeout from Alumni Arena. They're packing them in here at Alumni Arena. Look at the people lined up on the track. Standing room only 6,437, the fourth largest crowd in Buffalo history. And boy, have they gotten their money's worth today. They're watching their Bulls in the midst of a 16-0 run to build a 9-point lead.
Yeah, and all that's coming from the Bulls' much improved defense, making it harder for Central Michigan to score.
It's been 6 minutes without a basket for Central Michigan. Part of that is not having Austin on the court. A lot of it is the way Buffalo's playing defense, which if you were watching this game early in the first half, you didn't think there was going to be any defense played. So we're at a critical time in this game for Keno Davis and the Chippewas. Austin will be aggressive, he'll drive, and he'll draw a foul. And playing with the 4 fouls, there's no time to baby this one. That one goes on Montel McCray, the foul.
Yeah, and if you're going to have a player with 4 fouls playing here with 12 minutes to go, 11 minutes to go, it's going to be that graduate, student transfer with the experience, knowing how to play in this type of situation, and when he's got to roll the dice and when he's got to lay back off the gas pedal.
Yeah, and he was way off on that free throw, and you saw the frustration from Larry Austin, and the student section is going to just continue to fuel into that. He makes 1 of 2, does Larry Austin. That's 8 points. It's his first point of the second half. And that ends the 16-0 run, although 16-1 doesn't sound all that great either. Quick ball movement. Harris. Massenberg. Harris again, baseline drive, reverse layup, no good. Tip was no good, rebounded by Austin.
Yeah, and Central Michigan coming out in a 2-3 zone there to try and slow down the Bulls' offensive attack, and right there it worked, but the Bulls almost got an offensive rebound.
And that's a big 3 from Dallas Morgan. 11 points off the bench for the junior from Peoria, Illinois. Graves trying to feed Harris, knocked away. Austin, 2-on-1. Larry Austin, layup rolls off the rim, follow no good. McCray has his pocket picked by Austin, who feeds Montgomery, who draws a foul.
Well, Central Michigan's lucky they got the ball back there. Bleacher's got to come down with that instead of forcing up a low percentage shot, but Austin was able to get the steal, and now Central Michigan's going to the free throw line.
McCray grabs his 3rd foul of the game and sends Rob Montgomery, just a 58% free throw shooter, to the line. First one's good. His first points of the second half. Mass substitutions here for the Bulls. Williams, Jordan, and Caruthers come in. One more for Montgomery, and he makes them both. It's a 3-point Buffalo lead. Jordan, boy, it opened up on the right side for Dontay Jordan. He couldn't get it to fall. And we will stay on this end. Foul called on Central.
Yeah, it should be 1-1 here as the Bulls are in the bonus. And again, you'll see Jonathan Williams getting shoved in the lower back.
Roundtree, his 4th.
Doesn't look like much, but you're not allowed to push a player who's essentially jumping in the lower back, so it is a foul, and Roundtree's 4th foul, so that's big now.
3 players with 4 fouls, 3 starters with 4 fouls. Jonathan Williams misses the front end of the 1-and-1, but 3 starters for Central with 4 fouls now. Austin, Roundtree, McKay. And it's DeLeo tries to split the D and draws a foul of his own. 15th foul on Buffalo.
After that 16-0 run here, Central Michigan sort of settled down, slowed the pace down with playing the zone at the defensive end, slowing the Bulls' offensive attack, and then getting to the free throw line, they're still hanging in there.
Beechler's three from the corner off the inbounds comes out. Caruthers all the way for the basket. 11 in the game, stolen away by Janathan Williams, and Williams 1-on-2 will draw a foul.
And this is to my point earlier, the Bulls just got a steal, and now drawing the foul, they get to the free throw line, and they need to capitalize. Janathan Williams missed his free throw last time he got to the charity stripe, but soon it's going to be double bonus, and the free throws will begin to pile up here as the second half unveils.
As you can see, 8th foul on Central Michigan. So the freshman from Rochester, New York, Janathan Williams, goes to the free throw line, where he is a 69% shooter, but he missed just a couple minutes ago. 1-and-1, rims out. Austin with a head of steam, kicks it in the corner. It was deflected by Jordan. Or Caruthers. I think I'm safe to say it might have been one of the two of them. Or both.
They've both been active in those passing lanes all night, so you can get them confused pretty easily.
Yeah. Austin, well, he had an open shot. He's not a three-point shooter. Offensive foul, and he fouls out. And he went right back at the official and then realized he can't do that and stepped away. But he's done. Larry Austin fouls out on another offensive foul drawn by Caruthers.
And that's tough for Austin. He's played a very good game. Played very good game, but you got to be in control. The Bulls got the nick in the face with C.J. Massenberg and then taking that charge late in the first half. And here in the second half by Caruthers, those fouls add up, and now you got to watch from the bench for the last 10 minutes.
Boy, that Dontay Caruthers just has the ability to get under people's skin and make them react like that. You can see the emotion from Larry Austin. This is a game, obviously, that Central Michigan wanted badly.
Yeah, you got to respect players like that. He's playing with emotion. He wants to win, not only for his team. This is his last chance. He's a senior. He knows there's 9 more conference games left, and everyone means as much as it does to position yourself well in the MAC tournament.
Janathan Williams with a nice one-on-one move for his first basket of the game. The lead back to 7. It's been as large as 9 for Buffalo, and the deficit's been as large as 18. Morgan way off on the 3. It rolls out of bounds. Buffalo basketball. I love it when a game lives up to the hype, Will. I mean, an hour and a half ago when we sat here and told you what we thought was going to happen, it kind of has. This has been a crazy, fun back-and-forth game between two really aggressive offensive teams.
Yeah, we thought the game was going to be the 80s, and it looks like it's going to be the 80s.
It sure does. Montel McCray, three-pointer no good. Morgan with the rebound. Feeds McKay. McKay off glass, no good. Rebounded by Jordan. Here come the Bulls. Devontae Jordan for Janathan Williams with the left-handed slam.
And there's your role player stepping up. He's drove through 2 fouls, didn't make those free throws, but he got to the basket the last 2 possessions and is giving a little lift here for the Bulls in the second half.
Boy, Bulls fans have been waiting to see glimpses of that from one of the highest touted recruits ever, not just at Buffalo, but in the MAC as a whole. And Janathan struggled a little bit this year. He hasn't played a lot of minutes on a really good senior-laden team. Going to be a player they're going to count on a lot next year, and you're starting to see glimpses of why he is so well thought of.
Well, if you're a Janathan Williams, a Rondo Segou, or even Dallas Morgan or someone on Central Michigan that's not playing a ton of minutes, if your team is going to reach its full potential, you need to be ready for your opportunity, because there's going to come a game where you're going to need to knock down that big 3, get that big stop in order to win, and someone's going to be in foul trouble or hurt, and that's your opportunity.
Massenberg for 3, bullseye! It's an 11-point Buffalo lead. And a discussion in front of the Central Michigan bench will lead us to a timeout. Jonathan Williams, the freshman, slamming it home with the left hand. Paul Peck and Will Regan back at Buffalo's Alumni Arena. The Bulls won't be here for a couple of weeks, couple of games on the road at Akron at a very good Toledo team. You'll see that game on ESPNU on the 15th, and then a 3-game homestand.
Yeah, and I'm looking at that Akron-Toledo stint right there. It's never easy to go on the road and win in this conference, as the Bulls found out with their last road trip, and they need to come through here with 2 wins in order to keep pace with that Bowling Green team that beat them on Friday.
Yeah, of course, the Bulls coming off a loss. So they've only lost 3 times all year, but coming off their last game, a loss at Bowling Green, and in the previous 2 times, they've been able to come right back and bounce back with a win, and we'll see if that's going to happen again here. If they keep playing the kind of defense they're playing on Central Michigan that has held the Chippewas to 2 of 14 shooting in the second half. And look at the Buffalo side, they're shooting 55% in the second half, 11 of 20. This is a Central Michigan team, Will, that shot 56% in the first half.
Yeah, it's a tale of 2 halves, and that's the story right there. The Bulls' half-court defense has been very much improved, and they've been making every shot here in the second half tough for Central Michigan, as evidenced by that possession right here.
Yep, DeLeo had to try to beat the shot clock. I think that's the 3rd shot clock violation that Buffalo has forced. To your point, half-court defense, and that will earn a smile from the face of Nick Perkins. 3.5 minutes without a basket for Central Michigan. They've had a couple of stretches here of well over 3 minutes without scoring, but that explains 2 of 14. Nice feed and another dunk. This time it's Nick Perkins with a 2-hand flush.
Yeah, and that was too easy for the Bulls there, getting the ball in the corner. When Matzenberg gets the ball in the corner, you need to trap him, make it tough. Don't let him go baseline, let alone dish it off for an easy basket.
The lead is up to 13, largest of the game for the Bulls. Roundtree pulls up from 16 and hits. First points of the second half for the senior Sean Roundtree. Graves, Perkins for 3. No good. Graves battles for the offensive rebound, and it stays with the Bulls. Good hustle by the sophomore Javon Graves.
That's just good job by the guard right there to get in there and secure that board. But Central Michigan, one of the keys to the games is to out-rebound their opponent. They're losing the battle on the glass here in the second half.
And you mentioned they're 12-0 this year when they do out-rebound their opponent. And Harris gets fouled. McKay is fouled out now. McKay can't believe it. He thought he had a clean steal. Instead, and look at Keno Davis behind him, thinks the same thing, and now that's the second Chippewa to foul out of the game.
Well, if you remember, his 3rd and 4th foul were very light fouls, and then that one's tough because you got the ref calling from it, you know, on the other side of the court, how it's tough to see really what's going on. I mean, I'm sitting right behind him. It's tough, but that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. And unfortunately for McKay, he's going to be on the bench here for the rest of the half.
Yeah, and Keno is calling over Greg Lansdorf, the official, I think, to make the exact point that you made, was you called that from all the way across the court.
I'm not going to say it wasn't a foul.
Right.
But there's another official right there in front. Now, I get it. There's bodies that can get in the way, and sometimes that's your call. But I'd like to think that, you know, being 35, 40 feet away from the basket or the action is sometimes not in your favor to see what's going on.
Couple of free throws here for Jeremy Harris. He misses on the first. He has 18 points to lead the Bulls. He's also chipped in with 7 rebounds and 5 assists. 3 NBA scouts are in attendance, and Harris is going to be one of those players that they're looking at. And scouts from the Mavericks, Spurs, and Pacers are here amongst the crowd in Buffalo. And I think the thing that they'll be impressed with is Harris. They know Jeremy can shoot. He's in a slump right now, but how he's responded to the lack of shooting by more assists, more rebounds, more steals, hustle on the court. The NBA guys have got to love that, and I know Nate Oates does too.
Yeah, I mean, in the NBA, your shot's going to be there, but if it's not there, you need to be able to contribute in other ways because there's a lot of people at that level that can shoot the ball. What else can you do for them?
Roundtree pulls up, hits the 3. I was about to say he is going to have to take over and be aggressive offensively with the players missing for Central, and Roundtree's up to 19 points. And the Bulls will call a timeout. And Sean Roundtree, 35% three-point shooter on the season, nails that one. That's his 4th of the game.
And that's a miscommunication there on the Bulls. Coming off a ball screen, Nick Perkins is shadowing Roundtree, expecting Dontay Jordan to get back. They both retreat. Roundtree is smart enough with 6 seconds on the shot clock to pull up and gets an uncontested 3 to fall.
Well, as you said it, we look like we're headed towards maybe both teams hitting the 80-point mark. Might be a little close here with 5:55 left. The Bulls have scored 80 in 15 of their 22 games. Central Michigan has scored 80 in 14 of their 22 and 5 of their 9 MAC games.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at the numbers and everything points to that. We were kind of joking that, you know, we were so, you know, these people that can predict the future, but obviously it's just 2 up-tempo offenses that can light it up, and they've slowed down here a little bit here in the second half.
ESPN Plus will be the place for Tuesday night's Buffalo at Akron game for Bulls fans. UBBulls.com will get you more information on that one. And the Bulls have a couple more national TV games coming up before their season is done as well, too. 4th largest crowd in UB history has filled Alumni Arena, part of a doubleheader which saw the UB women's team win earlier today, beating Kent State 75 to 66. So if this holds up, it'll be quite a Saturday afternoon here at UB with a double set of victories. But we've still got a little time left to determine that one in this game. Harris for 3, front rim no good, but Graves with the putback.
And that right there is why Central Michigan's chances of winning this game are diminishing. The Bulls are on the glass, and they're making it hurt for Central Michigan.
Montgomery with the hook shot up and in. He's got double figures at 10. Central Michigan holds a slight rebounding advantage at the moment, but the Bulls have been much better on the boards here in the second half. Bulls have out-rebounded Central Michigan 15 to 11 in the second half. CJ Massenberg slowing things down a little bit here. Graves for 3, rims out. Tap on the rebound, and it's pulled in by Montgomery. There's been more than a few three-pointers that have gone about a halfway down the rim today and haven't finished off. That's an air ball by Morgan that goes out of bounds, but we get a foul.
Looks like they're calling this on Massenberg, and like to see it. The end result looked as though Massenburg was pushed to the ground, but it's hard to see exactly what happened.
Well, he was mixed up with Romello Burrell. I'm not sure anybody on the Buffalo side cared much for that call. And again, Massenburg, you see that athletic tape around the right shoulder that's been bothering him a bit. How about C.J. Massenburg is the only player amongst the key guys for Buffalo to have missed a game this year. Missed one. Other than that, the Buffalo Bulls have not had a player miss a game for injury at any point during the season, and it looks like our officials are taking a look at that play, Will.
Yeah, we'll see again. It looks, to me, it just looks like the two are boxing out, and then Massenburg lost his edge. You know, he's fighting against this guy, and then all of a sudden he's not there, and it's like pulling the chair on someone. He just fell down. I don't know if there really was much more than that.
Well, it was a pretty emphatic call. Well, as Greg Lansdorf was diving out of the way of the basketball, he made a pretty emphatic call there.
Right. So I think they're trying to make sure they get this call right, which is the right thing to do. But outside of the fact that you see Massenburg's body go flying, I don't think there was much to be called, and so I think it'll settle with the foul on the Bulls and Central Michigan's ball.
All right, so they're still taking a look at it. C.J. Massenburg up to 4th on UB's all-time scoring list with 1,747 points. Within range of the number 3 spot. And he's been one of the most outstanding players in school history. So what'd they tell you there, Will?
It'll be 1-1 Central Michigan, foul on 5 white, which is C.J. Massenburg. So it is what the call stood. I don't know. He didn't know the specification on what specifically they were looking for, but it would be safe to assume they were just making sure there was no additional contact going on that would warrant a foul on Central Michigan.
So to put in perspective a little bit what's happened in this game, Bulls trail by 18 points set about 8 minutes into this game. The largest deficit they faced all season long was 21 points in their loss at Marquette. The biggest deficit the Bulls have overcome this year, twice it happened at 13 points. So what's been done here, should Buffalo hang on and win this game, is pretty incredible, impressive, and maybe even unbelievable.
Yeah, no doubt, but I'll tell you what, there's 5 minutes left, 6-point game, and UB's shooting 50% from the free throw line. So if they want to close this game out, they're going to have to knock down some free throws or knock down some threes.
You get the rest of that call, Will Regan. Knock down some threes as C.J. Massenburg just did. He's got 9 points after not scoring in the first half.
And that's a testament to who C.J. Massenburg is. I mean, we talked about his shoulder not being well, but here he comes getting another basket. 11 points in the second half. And, you can tell he wasn't at 100%, but he doesn't make excuses. He's out there just hustling and doing what he can to help his team do to win.
And he was in the middle of maybe the moment that turned this game around, which was that technical foul that he got drawn, that he got called against in the little skirmish with Austin. C.J. Massenburg heating up. The Bulls are too. The 23rd ranked team in the country is up by 11 with 4 to go. Final 4 minutes of this one in front of a big crowd in Buffalo. The Bulls have come back from a big deficit, now hold an 11-point lead, and Bulls fans that probably weren't smiling quite that much in the first half are smiling a little bit more now as their team, 23rd in the country, if they can hang on here, will bounce back from their loss and remain towards the top of the Mid-American Conference's East Division. 4 minutes exactly, an 11-point lead. Buffalo in the double bonus. Roundtree to the free throw line for Central, 1-1. First is good. That's 20 points for Sean Roundtree. And he hits them both, 21. Lead to 9. Remember, Central playing without leading scorer Larry Austin, who fouled out about 5 minutes or so ago in game action, and Devontae Jordan will draw the foul.
And this kind of goes back to where I was mentioning, Bulls shooting 50% here from the line tonight. Devontae Jordan's been struggling from the line, so you gotta, if you want to close games out, and I'm saying this for tonight, and you know, if the Bulls want to do what they have their aspirations set on, is winning games in the NCAA tournament, making it count from the free throw line is the utmost importance.
Devontae Jordan is just a 29% free throw shooter, and that's a big one that he just hit there. He has really struggled from the line, that's such a crazy bad number that it has to be sort of in his head, I would assume.
Yeah, you almost feel like to shoot 29%, you have to almost try because you're shooting better from the three-point line, right? So you're contested. It's just, and so it has to be some mental, some routine. You just got to practice. And he's a
49% shooter from the field, 30% from the line, but 29 from the free throw line. Big block by Jeremy Harris. On the move come the Bulls. Jordan all the way, short on the layup, no good. Back come the Chippewas. Roundtree for Burrell, layup, no good. Foul on Buffalo's Jeremy Harris.
And Harris just has to hold his ground. He's got to be a little bit more assertive on that charge. He had position, but he was afraid of the contact, and that is why Central Michigan's going to the line. But that was the block of the other end. You know, not a blocking foul, but a block. There's the blocking foul.
Yep, fourth foul on Jeremy Harris, who is the Bulls' leading scorer with 18. Burrell to the free throw line, rims that one out. 68% free throw shooter for the sophomore from Chicago. Second is good. 5 in the game for Romello Burrell. Now, I would assume Bulls want to slow things down a little bit here, work some clock, right? Yeah. Well, that's not really their offense, but... And Jeremy Harris dribbles it out of bounds.
Yeah, you know, you got a comfortable lead here, up 11, or up 9 right now, and in order to win this game, half of it's just running the clock down, taking care of the basketball, which that possession is not what you want to do.
Burrell hounded by Jordan, the Leo way outside. Under 3 minutes to go in this one. Shot clock under 10. Roundtree gonna shoot it one way or the other. Pulls up short. Offensive board for DeLeo. Back to Roundtree. 3. Good. Sean Roundtree gonna do everything he can to keep his team in this game. 24 points for the senior.
Yeah, and you know, you turn the ball over and you let a team knock down a 3. It's still only a 2-possession game or a 6-point game here.
Caruthers, offensive foul call. Normally it's the other way around with Caruthers.
Yeah, and you know, I know that the fouls, the Bulls have gotten a couple charge fouls there, but in no way was Caruthers trying to go through Montgomery. He had the edge going to the lane. I have a hard time seeing that as a charge. I don't think it was a block either. I just think the guy fell and tried to draw a foul that wasn't there.
So now a chance for the Chippewas to cut this to 3. As you mentioned, still a 2-possession game. DeLeo, step back 3, good, off glass. David DeLeo with a clutch 3. Massenberg on the other side hits it.
You gotta love Massenberg right there, you know. Again, just stepping up when you need big shot. He's hurt and he's knocking it down, and it's a 2-possession game, but Central Michigan's still in this.
A minute and a half to go, a 6-point lead, that's a 4-point lead. And watch the threes on either end of the court. First it's DeLeo, and then right back comes Massenberg. He is so clutch, Will.
Yeah, it's a big shot, and you look at it, you know, you could use more time, but you're locked and loaded stepping into the shot. You got to take it, and that's what a senior with confidence will do for you.
Buffalo has hit that 80-point mark for the 9th time, or correction, that's the 80-point mark for the 16th time in their 23 games. Under Nate Oates, the Bulls are 59-10 when they score 80 points or more.
Yeah, and Central Michigan here is called this timeout here to strategize the last minute and a half, and the key for them is they historically like to bring pressure. They do a 2-2-1. They didn't do it against the Bulls because the Bulls are so good at handling that pressure, but they're going to bring the pressure here, try and get a 10-second call or a turnover trailing in these once they cross half court. If they don't get it, they're most likely going to foul.
Central Michigan's hit 6 of their 8 shots after starting this half, 2 of 14.
And I say that they're going to be opportunistic. There's that word again about the foul. I would say they're going to foul if Dontay Jordan or some of the lower percentage free throw shooters get it. However, if not, they might just play out the possession and see what they can do after they get the stop.
So let's see what the strategy play is here between Keno Davis and Nate Oates. It's a 4-point Buffalo lead, a minute 27 to go. Buffalo looking for its 22nd straight win at home. It's tied for the second longest streak in the country right now. Dontay Caruthers into the front court for Massenberg. Taking his time, guarded by Morgan. CJ for Harris. Harris into the lane, draws a foul.
You see, yeah, I mean, solid defense there, but moving your feet, tough late in the game. It's going to be a foul there. But Bulls at the line here with 2 free throws, up 4. Will they make both of these like a Sweet 16 team would want to do?
Harris is 0 for 2 in this game, but he hits that one to give him 19 points. And Jeremy has chipped in with 7 rebounds and 6 assists as well. One more coming for the senior Jeremy Harris. That one's too hard. The lead is 5. A minute to go. On the other end, the 3 no good by Morgan, rebounded by Harris. And Caruthers gets bumped by Morgan. So if this holds up for the Bulls to get their 22nd straight win at home, there's a game tomorrow Bulls fans will want to be watching, and that's Cincinnati at Houston, because the Cougars at 31 straight at home have the nation's longest home winning streak, but that's going to be a heck of a game between a really good Bearcats team. So there's a chance, if Cincinnati pulls that upset off, that the Bulls will remain tied for the longest winning streak in the country. They are tied right now with Tennessee.
It's not terrible company to be with, and that's to give Central Michigan some credit here tonight, because they came into UB's house, Alumni Arena, and challenge them. They were up 18 in the first half against a team that hasn't lost here in over a year and a half.
Yeah.
So the fact that they did that, you know, and then you're like, okay, well, UB came back. Well, yeah, UB's a good team. Central Michigan is too. They played very well tonight. Just let it slip away down the stretch.
DeLeo into the corner. Morgan had the three-pointer blocked. Pulled in by Nick Perkins, and he gets fouled. And a couple of words from Nick Perkins to Romello Burrell, and they stare each other down for a moment, and they're still talking as they head up court. We've had a couple of moments of tenseness in this game. Matter of fact, that moment at the end of the first half when C.J. Massenburg went back at Larry Austin might be the key moment in this game, Will.
Yeah, it was definitely a defining moment for sure, with Austin drawing the technical foul on Massenburg, which got Central Michigan, you know, Massenburg a foul, Central Michigan 2 free throws and the ball to end the half. Well, it turned out
a little disrespect towards the best player on the Bulls might have fired up the rest of this team.
It did, and then Austin ended up drawing the charge. He ended up drawing the charge and getting his second foul, and then it continued into the second half where he came in with 2 fouls, and they got 2 quick fouls in the second half, game to 4, and that changed the way their best player had to handle the game.
Yeah, it really was a key moment. That whole sequence of things that happened into the first half, right at the beginning of the second half, all involving Austin, really changed the whole tone of this game. And if Buffalo hangs on to win, looks like they're going to come back from 18 down, you point to those moments as maybe the inspiration. Long three by Roundtree is no good.
Yeah, and that moment defined this game, but the chippiness and the intensity is not going to go anywhere.
Nope.
There's 8 more games left in conference play for these teams. Central Michigan proved it to themselves tonight that they can compete with the best. They're going to expect the best for them when it comes conference tournament time.
As a team, as a player, when you if you're on that bench or on that court, and you see kind of Austin, quote unquote, disrespecting your captain, how much does that fire you up? How much does that get you talking? How much can that change a team's mood and attitude?
The fact that it happened right before half gave the Bulls the opportunity to go into the locker room when the coaches aren't in there and say, listen, this is our house. We're getting disrespected. They're getting out on top of us. Not only did they get disrespected, you know, from that standpoint, you can interpret how you want, but they were also down 18 in their own house. You know, like Central Michigan almost had a right to do that because they were outplaying the Bulls. So it was an opportunity for the Bulls to look at themselves in the eye and say, we need to step up and protect our house.
All 17 points from C.J. Massenburg have come in the second half here. Massenburg with 17, Perkins with 11, all of them in the second half. Remember, the 2 key players for Buffalo did not score in the first half. Perkins didn't play in the first half. Massenburg didn't score. That's been a big reason why Buffalo has outscored Central Michigan 49-33 here in the final 20 minutes. Almost quite 20 minutes.
Yeah, it was a tale of 2 halves, and it was good for the Bulls to learn how to win a game, or at least play through a game where you don't have production out of C.J. Massenburg, you don't have production out of Nick Perkins, and you have to sort of look at yourselves in the eyes and say, where are we going to get this production from? Because they have the talent, but sometimes you get complacent relying on good players to do some of the dirty work that you're not accustomed to doing, like getting to the basket, creating your own shot, things like that, which the Bulls had to figure out how to do tonight.
The 18-point deficit, which was 32-14, 8 minutes into the game, the largest deficit overcome by the Bulls in a game this season, and that, I'm sure, is something that Nate Oates will mention to his team and praise them for. Loose ball, another steal. Massenburg to Caruthers. He was looking for somebody else to pass it to. Dontay puts it up and in for his 15th point. And that is going to bring this one to an end. Buffalo gets to 90. They keep Central Michigan under 80. And the Bulls get their 20th win of the year for the 4th time in the last 5 seasons. Their 22nd in a row at home. It's a final score of Buffalo 90, Central Michigan 76. Stick around. Our post-game show with Nate Oates and our player of the game is coming up next from Buffalo's Alumni Arena. It's the Bulls going to 20-3 on the year, 8-2 in the MAC with a big win over Central Michigan. More to come on ESPN+. Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay. Good win. Really good win. In front of the fourth largest crowd in UB history, the Bulls get their 22nd straight win.